Good morning. We're in Acts 8. Start with verse 25. And this is the transition from being in Samaria. Now, when they had testified and spoken the word of the Lord, they returned to Jerusalem, preaching the gospel to many villages of the Samaritans. So they didn't just, you know, get on the train or take an Uber right to Jerusalem. They preached as they went along. So they made use of the time of their travels in preaching to people in the various villages. So it's Peter and John. They were very successful. They had a fruitful ministry in Samaria, yet they returned to Jerusalem instead of continuing to reach out beyond that city. It was during Paul's first missionary journey with Barnabas that he went through Samaria. And you have to wonder, are you laying groundwork? And that's what Peter and John did, laid groundwork in Samaria. And are you building on your efforts or the efforts of others to complete the work? That's how ministry works, that it's a participation of many people. So here comes Philip again. Now an angel of the Lord said to Philip, "Rise and go toward the south to the road that goes from Jerusalem to Gaza. This is the desert place." And we might have thought Philip would object to leaving a great successful work in Samaria to go out in a desolate place in the desert, but God had a plan. Philip submitted to the plan. Sometimes, we get diverted by God into doing something different. And it's not that it's wrong, it's different because God has something in mind. He probably left at the same time as Peter and John. The congregation was supplied with spiritual gift. Simon had repented. They had everything they needed to succeed. And is there a right time to leave a work? Well, here's some thoughts. The work will succeed without you. The work should not be built on you. You can't take the work any further. So you take it so far, and then you move on. You've trained people to take over, and this is a big thing with churches, is we need to keep training more people to take our jobs. And when we get a church that says it's just we four and no more, when there's a certain few that do all the work, that's a dying church. God has another open door. You can't do any further ministry until you get past the one that you are in. And sometimes you can become stale, or you lose interest, or you're fighting God's intention. If you reach this point, it's time to look elsewhere. It's time to see, what does God have intent for me? Ministry is not a job. It is not a job. And so we're going to pick up there with the actual call that he had to go south and who he ran into.